All right, today we're going to remove the bed on the Compress 600 screw drive bed. This would be if you need to get into a door or something, but please explore all options before removing this bed. It's not designed to be removed. So explore, going through a different door, taking the door frame off and whatnot before doing this. So we're going to start by removing this back panel. It's all these screws going around the perimeter, and then we also have 4 smaller screws on the inside edge here that have to be removed. So I'm going to go ahead and start there. I'm going to work from the bottom up, leaving the top screws for last. Alright, we have all our screws removed except for these top 2. Now for the panel to clear coming off, we have to take these red enclosures off. It's just 1 screw, Phillips on the top. That comes out. Set that to the side. And do your other one. And for this next step, you will need an assistant to get this panel off and this panel off. Alright, next we're going to both remove the top 2 screws. Kind of put your foot under it so it doesn't drop down. Now you have all the screws removed. And you're going to remove the panel and set it aside. Now next, this small panel here, it looks like you don't need an assistant, but if this panel drops, there's a good chance that you can damage this wired connection down here and your whole lift mechanism would be dead. So I'm going to go ahead and just take out the bottom 2. That's fine on your own, but just to be on the safe side, you want someone to kind of hold it while you remove the last 2 from the top. And now that it's completely loose, you can slowly lower it. Again, watch this wire at the bottom. And it just comes right out. Alright, now we have to take this cover off to access the bed motor, because we need to unplug the connector to the bed motor. Start with these 4 screws in the back for the center cover that covers the main drive screw and the bed motor. Alright, now we have the cover open, and right kind of in the middle here, you'll see where the 2 covers are separated. And we have 4 more screws right here. Alright, there's 2 more screws on the opposite guard that need to be removed. Alright, while we're on this side, we're going to go ahead and remove these 2 covers and unplug the cables for the buttons. Got 2 screws on each side on top. one screw under here. This one you don't completely take out. It's a T-nut, so it'll just slip right out of the slot. So I got the 3 screws removed. I'm going to take the enclosure off and disconnect all these connectors. And same thing on this side. And these connectors are all already labeled, so you don't have to worry about labeling them yourself. All right, now the guard is completely able to come back. And now we can get to our motor. All right, now that we have the motor cover removed, we can disconnect the motor power. One of these connectors is not screwed in. You can just wiggle it free. That's the larger of the 2 connectors. And then to get the power disconnected, you're going to need a small flathead, and there's an access slot. If you reach under here, you can get to these 2 flatheads that are securing the power lead to the motor driver. So just loosen those on both sides. And then now you're disconnected. All right, now we have the power leads disconnected. We just need to cut these zip ties carefully to separate from the bed. And then follow underneath. Comes out of that little holder. And we have one more right here. All right, and you can leave it hanging like that, because this is right where the bed is going to come disconnected. All right, now we're going to continue disconnecting the wires that run to the bed. This is the home sensor. So just grab by the wires, just rock it back and forth and pull back, and it's disconnected here. Push it down through this hole, and then underneath there's a zip tie mounting it. So carefully cut that, and you pull on the cable, and then you have this little cover that covers into the T-slot. So we still have a couple wires that are mounted to the bed that's we're trying to remove, and that same little plastic covering for our T-slot here. Just use a flathead to pry it out, and then you can get your wire out. And then the rest of these wires, they run up to the front. So we're going to go around front next and do the same thing just to get them all unrouted from our table. Okay, now we're around front. Same deal. Just use a flathead to pry our little cover off. Now you should be able to move the wires out. And just go down the line. There's a couple more of these same covers going back down here. Alright, now before we can get all these wires out, we have one here we have to disconnect. This is for the eject sensor that's up front, which is going to stay with the table. So just disconnect it here, and then continue on down with getting these wires dismounted from the flatbed rail. Okay, so now that we've disconnected the eject sensor, I'm going to continue down the line using my flathead screwdriver, and you just pry out these little plastic covers and then just work the wires back. Once you get to the middle here, kind of hit the rail, so we're going to have to go around back to get the rest of this long cover off. All right, now we're in the back. Going to continue getting these wires unmounted. Go back around the front, start pulling it. So we got the long piece removed. It goes kind of through this rail, so it's a little tricky. You may have to push it towards the front to get that out. All right, and same thing for this side. And these wires, this side isn't as hard. Just 2 of them, 3 of them, and now just push them down below. Okay, now that we have all the wires disconnected from the flatbed, we need to remove this roller guide from the guide rail. It's 2 4mm Allen keys right here. And we're going to loosen them. And these are T-nuts, so they don't have to be completely removed. The screws, anyway, you just got to get it loose enough. If you look up in that channel, the T-nut will turn and the screw will drop. And there we go. And just drop it all the way down and off the bottom of the rail. All right, now we're on the other side, and it's the same thing. 2 4mm. Just loosen until you see that T-nut turn, and then the screw will drop. And then lower it off the bottom of the rail. Set that aside. Okay, now we are going to remove the 8 screws that actually mount the whole flatbed to the base. And we're going to start in the back with the 2 right here. And then we'll go to the 2 on this side. And now we'll go around front and get the 4 in the front. Okay, now for the next 4, you want to make sure that the bed is in the middle, so it's not weighted towards the front. So we'll go ahead and just remove these 4. And then the 2 on this side. Okay, next we are going to remove the bed. This is a 3-person job. You're gonna have 2 people in the back and 1 person feed it towards the front. So just grab right under where it says do not lift here and lift up and slowly back, and then have your cart ready. And there's your bed removed. All right, now the bed's removed. To get full clearance to get through your doorway, you're gonna have to take off our WIM system that delivers all the ink to the printer. So 2 screws on each side. These are 3 millimeters. All right, so we have 2 screws on each side removed. We have the center screw still in, holding it up. We need to remove this guard to give us more slack. This is a 2.5 millimeter. Now we can support our WIM system and remove the center screw.